Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I want to go through some hot, sexy covers to consider for your collection. And this is a pretty big area in collecting. Yeah, I know some collectors are really into this. I've dabbled a little bit more in the last year or so. Mostly like with new comic books, just I find it kind of the best way to add sort of some cheap eye candy to my collection. But I think for these ones too, you don't really have to go the 9.8 route. I think, a nice ungraded copy is going to do great for most of these. And they're not really special in the 9.8, most of them. And, maybe like one or two, you go the 9.8 route. But yeah, let's have a look at the full list here. And I'm not going to go through the census information just because, yeah, as I said, they're not really special in a super high grade or anything because most of these are newer comic books. First one is a Poison Ivy #1, the Josh Burns variant. Yeah, I really like this cover from Josh Burns. There's been a few other covers that I've kind of caught my eye from Josh Burns. I think he's an artist to keep an eye on, especially if you're into these hot lady covers. But I really like this kind of a, tushy Poison Ivy #1 cover. There's a Virgin variant and a trade dress for this one. I think the Virgin variant kind of in the $60 to $80 range in a 9.8. For the trade dress, like $40 to $50. I also like Vampirella versus Red Sonja #1, another Josh Burns one that's kind of catching my eye, and I think that one's in the probably about the $50 to $60 level would be a pretty good deal in a 9.8. So yeah, Josh Burns, I think kind of a newer artist to me, and one to keep an eye on, I think. So next one is a Batman Adventures Continues #1 by Warren Liu. I think that's how you say his last name. Is it Liu or Lau? Or I'm going to go with Liu. But so I was able to grab one of these in a 9.8 because I am kind of a sucker for like a pretty hot Batgirl cover. And in this one, she looks really great and kind of like got all the curves in the right spots, I think. There's two versions of this one. There's the black cover and the purple cover. I actually think the purple cover is less printed, like it's the more special one. But just as far as eye appeal to me, I think the black cover is way better, so I went that route. A few other, yeah, and I think the price on this one going to be in that kind of $60 to $80 range. And for all these, there's always going to be someone out there on eBay trying to get like $150 for these, but if you're patient, you wait in an auction, most of these are going to probably be in that $60 to $80 range. A couple other Warren Liu ones that I really like is a more recent one, Harley Quinn 24. Yeah, this is a sexy, it's a cover homage of the J. Scott Campbell Amazing Spider-Man cover, kind of where she has the coffee kind of thing. Yeah, really well done on this one. Great eye appeal. There is the Virgin and the trade dress on this one as well. And this one's cooled down. Like initially the Virgins were kind of 100 to 120, I think. But I think you can kind of, $80 around there, maybe up to $90 if you really want this one in the Virgin variant 9.8. And the trade dress is going to be less, probably in that sort of 50 to 60 range, I think, for the trade dress on a Harley Quinn 24. And the last one I've always really liked, I talked about this one on the channel, is a DC versus Vampires #2. The Warren Liu variant on this one. Just a really sexy Supergirl, kind of gothic Supergirl cover. And that one's in the Virgin variant and the trade dress as well. And yeah, pretty similar prices. I think you wait in an auction for that one. In the Virgin variant, it's kind of 60 to 80. In the trade dress, closer to $50, I would say, in a 9.8. Okay, let's look at some Artgerm ones. Tales from the Dark Multiverse, the Judas Contract #1. Pretty long title, but there's two versions of this one for the Artgerm variant. I really like the Raven one. There's a Starfire one, if you want to check that one out. They're both pretty great. I'll throw up graphics of both. I'd probably go for the Raven one. I think this one, probably in the 80 to 100. I think people are kind of paying up a little bit more for this one. And yeah, definitely two really sexy Raven and Starfire covers. Next Artgerm is the Marvel Comics #1000. Really hot Emma Frost book and great cover. And there's a few different versions of this one. There's like the Black Queen version and a more white type of version, so I guess whatever one you'd like that has the best eye appeal to you would be the best. And this one, going for a little bit more, I think. I saw in an auction, I think just kind of the normal White Queen version, I guess it would be. I saw one go for $125 in an auction, like right around there. I forget the exact price, but it was right around that 125 range. I think that's a pretty good deal on this one. And people kind of paying up to sort of 175 to near 200 occasionally, I think, for this Marvel Comics 1000. I see quite a lot of Signature Series ones of this one too, which will get a little bit more expensive, but I think that's a cool Artgerm one to consider. One I've always liked for a really long time is a Supergirl 26 from Artgerm. He's got a lot of these Supergirl covers from this era, and I think this one's my favorite. Supergirl 26. That's probably kicking around $100, maybe 80 to 100, let's say, and it is a good deal in an auction for a 9.8 on a Supergirl 26. And last Artgerm one, Inferno #1 is a really cool Mystique cover. Kind of, you know, really cool and sexy at the same time, I would say, which is pretty hard to do. And yeah, Inferno #1 Artgerm. That's also in the Virgin. The Virgin was, I believe, really low printed. I think it was a 1-for-100 variant. So I think the Virgin variant will probably be in that 150 range. Whereas the trade dress was like the initial one that came out that was pretty heavily printed, and I think that one's about $60, I think, is a pretty good deal. Like 50 to 60, let's say, for the trade dress on Inferno #1 in a 9.8. And again, yeah, just a lot of these you could just get them ungraded, to be honest. Next one is a Harley Quinn 13 by Will Jack. Yeah, Will Jack is definitely one of the artists that is getting my attention more recently. Yeah, I really like this Harley Quinn 13. Auction popped up in Canada, and I was able to get it really cheap. I think it was like 50 something American it would have been. I think it was about $70 Canadian in an auction. That's a pretty good deal. That's about as low as I saw this one go. Yeah, but a Harley Quinn 13 is a really sexy Harley Quinn one. There's been some other Harley Quinn ones that Will Jack has done since then, and I think they're kind of limited print, you know, store exclusives, I guess you would call them, and they're going for a little bit more expensive, whereas this one was just, I believe it was kind of maybe a little bit of a higher priced variant comic book when it came out, but it wasn't like a store exclusive that's going to be really expensive. I don't believe so anyway. Was it a store exclusive? Oh, KRS Comics edition. Okay, so it was a store exclusive, but this one's seems to be a little bit more cheaper than the newer ones that are coming out, which are pretty sexy, admittedly, but yeah, Harley Quinn 13 is a cool one. I think the original Will Jack cover that got everyone like sort of on Will Jack, everyone got on Will Jack got on the radar for everyone, let's say, was a Gun Honey #4. Yeah, really sexy kind of bikini Gun Honey cover. And I also like a newer one, but it's the Tale of the Titans #1, a really hot Starfire cover by Will Jack is another one to consider. Yeah, and Will Jack, you want to keep an eye on him. I know I've, on the pre-sale, I did the Supergirl Special #1, which is kind of a new comic book that Will Jack has done that I think is really hot. But yeah, he's just an artist to keep an eye on if you're into this thing. Next one is a couple Adam Hughes books. Well, I'll focus on one because I think it's like a really good deal if you're into this kind of thing. It's a Deathstroke #1, the Adam Hughes variant. Really hot Black Canary cover. This one is like $50, like maybe even a little bit less if you get lucky. Like it's a really cheap one in a 9.8 that I think is worth it. It's a newer book, but Adam Hughes absolutely has like a big cult of fans, and if you're really interested in Adam Hughes' work, some of the classic Catwoman books and Zatanna books that he did, there's a lot of covers in there, so I don't want to kind of go over every single one of them, but if you are really into Adam Hughes, the Catwoman and Zatanna books are the ones that are a little bit more expensive, but like really sought after, and a lot of those Zatanna ones are really low printed, so they get very expensive in a 9.8. Yeah, Adam Hughes is just has been doing these hot covers for a really long time. Okay, now last one, I'm kind of focusing more on the newer books. There's, you know, a lot of classic hot lady covers as well, but last one is I think a modern classic, or it's getting there anyway, is Batgirl 23 in a 9.8. Yeah, really cute Batgirl cover by Josh Middleton, I believe it is. Yeah, and this one is so well collected. It's really hung in there, I think, too, as far as values. Like, you know, during the COVID hot comic book market, this was probably a little over $200. And I think nowadays they go in the kind of like for 160 bucks, you know, maybe you get it just under 150 if you're really lucky in an auction. But I've saw quite a few auctions go for like 160, 170 on a Batgirl 23. So it's one that, yeah, people really collect this one. And yeah, it's kind of gone above that $100 range in a 9/8. There's quite a lot of them in a 9/8, but yeah, just one of those like super great eye appeal covers that a lot of collectors want. Okay, so just wanted to give you a few ideas for some hot lady covers to consider adding to your collection. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and like the video. But thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.